Welcome, welcome to another episode of Starseed Activations. So, we usually start with an Om. Now, an Om allows us to rebalance each of our energetic fields, allowing us to open and expand our heart chakras. So, the reason why we Om is because it brings more love into the actual channeling, which allows for a higher frequency to be embodied by all people here. So it's absolutely beautiful. And I encourage and welcome each of you to join me now as we take a deep breath in. And one more deep breath in. Beautiful. Now, the energy of today has been a little chaotic for a lot of individuals in the simulation. So we are going to do now is we're actually going to start by reading some of the new channelings that I had come through. So I'm going to read it and I'm going to just explain a little bit about what's happening in the download, and then we'll take it from there. And if you guys have any questions, you can always send them to daniellelipton.com and then I'll answer them on one of the next lives that we do. So the first download that we had come in is emotional grid attunements and reflecting off expressions. So it's an expression is an emotion code expressed into the simulation. Now, every person, place, or thing must carry an emotion code. So an emotion code is not only how do you feel. It is not only happy, sad, excited. An emotion code is also what color is this? It is also what location are you in? For each location grants each individual a emotion code. Now, the emotion grids reflect off of items and individuals naturally. So what that means is we come into contact with an item, that item is carrying an emotion code. So we recognize that certain crystals hold higher frequencies or lower frequencies. Now we know that each range of crystals hold a very specific type of frequency. So one such example would be rose quartz. Now we know rose quartz, it actually holds a frequency of love. However, some rose quartz individual pieces have been in lower frequency locations. That lower frequency location then starts to have an effect on the actual frequency of that crystal. Sometimes, even if we try and rebalance and reactivate the crystal back to a love-based frequency, it still takes a little bit of energetic clearing in order to allow the crystal to come back into a higher frequency. Many times crystals are encouraged to be buried back in Mother Earth for true recalibration of the binary codex frequency inside of the crystal. Now, that is only speaking of a crystal. For each individual inside the simulation also works in the same manner. Each trauma expressed allows for a either lowering or raising of the biological frequency. Many times when individuals go through a process known as shadow work, you are going inside the internal circumstances, which then in turn you are able to release any densities, any distortions, allowing the biological form to be raised in frequency. When you raise your frequency, it then allows you to radiate unconditional love around all people, places, and things outside of you. Now, holding that unconditional love, that light that flows through us, it is what heals us on such deep, intimate levels where you can look at another person and you could just know that you love them from the bottom of your heart. That is what it feels like. And that is where each and every one of us are stepping into in this day and age. We're being called to heal ourselves so that we fully love ourselves, so that we love the mistakes that we make. We learn from them, we pick ourselves up, and we continue to move on and to do great things with our lives. And yet, while we do that, the more we forgive and we love ourselves, it allows us to shine brightly. Now, This ability for the internal knowing of which emotion code any physical matter is in alignment with in the now moment is of high value, because knowing what emotion code or what frequency or what alignment any item, person, place, or thing is in alignment with you, it is going to give you the opportunity to realize, okay, I'm either in alignment with this or I'm not. Many times we go through the process of side skirting or not believing our intuition. And so we may see the signs and we may recognize that, hey, I'm not in alignment with this, but I'm going to force it anyway, or I'm going to just allow it because I don't want to rock the boat. Many times we've done this. And when we do it, we're actually doing an injustice, because then that cycle must fully grow and expand, because the higher self is going to eventually shift whatever item that isn't in a harmonic attunement with the individual will be shifted in time. Let's see. This process also allows for advanced healing abilities to manifest. For knowing a lower vibrational emotion code and then energetically casting the opposite emotional code into the energy grids shall allow for a healing to start the process of manifestation. Now, there's a reason why everybody tells you all healing is self-healing. This is a fact. There's no getting around it. Through all the experiences that I personally have had with attachment removals, as well as learning to feel emotion codes. So learning the attachment means being able to come inside and feel, how does that attachment make you feel? Every single emotion triggers an energy grid inside of your body. So it's the same exact thing as holding up a crystal. When you hold the crystal, your energy grid on the inside gets triggered. So you may feel the crystal, it's like a pull. You may feel it pull here, and pull down in your leg. That's because that grid gets activated by the frequency the crystal is giving you. Well, each and every emotion pulls the grid, so you feel it. It's not really a pull. The star people are saying it's more like an activation of the grid, and any imbalances that you currently are exhibiting are also going to be able to come back into realignment by using different emotional expressions. So this is where it is key, because learning the dark emotions, and this is where the dark empath abilities come into play. The dark empath abilities are really walking the path of darkness. So experiencing all of the low vibrations that you can experience in this world. That means one way, shape, or form or another, going through all the dark experiences, whether that be using your imagination, looking at a TV set, which we've all done. We've seen all the wars and the stuff, but feeling into each and every one of those emotions. How did it make you feel? But you have to close your eyes. You have to feel the energy grids inside. Now, because the empath ability is how each and every one of us work naturally, we just don't feel it until we've cleaned up enough of the grid structures. But when we walk in the space of another person and our energy grid gets activated, we can feel what lower frequency emotion codes that they are holding. That is of high value, because if you know how it feels to express the energy of being sad, now how do you start to heal that emotion code or that energy grid that's in the other person? You have to consciously feel the emotion of being happy or joyful or unconditional love. That one works very, very well at pulling the grids. And then we energetically send it to the other person. And when we send it, many times they can feel the energy shifting in their body. And we always think, oh, it's the belly is gurgling or the throat, or you may belch a little bit. And that's because we're pulling at the energy grids, and any attachments that are latched on, they also tend to discharge. The lower frequency ones go right away. However, higher frequency ones are like the really, like the heavy hitter ones, you have to know the name to truly get them to release. But once again, the second that we clear all of these emotions and all of the energy grids, there's a 3-day window. So you can hold the new emotion code. And if you hold it, the energy grid heals itself in that moment, and it stays, it maintains. And then all of a sudden, the physical healing starts to take place. Or within 3 days, it reverts back to the old frequency. When it reverts back to the old frequency, usually there's a lesson that's there that needs to be learned. So, communication with the higher self is always going to assist, as well as diving into that emotion. And once again, pull at the emotion. So, if it's sadness, okay, why is the sadness here in my body? Why do I feel this way? Why is the energy grid triggering this emotion code? Go into the sadness, feel the sadness, and then call forward the opposite. So we go by the law of polarity. What is the opposite emotion code? Use your imagination. If we can't figure it out, that's okay too. And use the opposite emotion and just imagine feeling it. And just imagine that light filling the space outside of your body. The more and more you start to do that, the emotion of sadness is going to dissipate, or it is going to be released from the grids, and then it is going to allow the new emotion to take its place in the same space. Now, the more and more we do this to ourselves, then you start holding light. So when you go into the energy field of someone who is not fully holding that light, you may see or sense or feel, depending on what abilities you already have activated, but you may sense those emotion codes running in the other people. Now, this is very, very important because some of the emotion codes are wild and amazing, but they are not just sadness. They are, you slipped and fell on your tush in front of a bunch of people. That's an emotion code. And so sometimes there's a residual transference of emotion codes. So when you start to, and it doesn't necessarily have to be right when you're in front of the person. So sometimes during my sessions, I'll notice having the attachment or the emotion codes a day or like 12 hours before actually getting on a session call with someone. That's okay too. We have to realize that our energies go through the ether. That doesn't happen all the time, or maybe I just don't notice it, but I'm just telling you, the energy works throughout time and space, and it works through the ether. So if you are meant to have an experience with a person, place, or thing, the emotional cords have already connected in the ether well before you even had the experience. This is where we start to open up and we start to see, okay, well, a lot of the other information the star people have been telling us are basically explaining how we could see into the future. Well, it makes sense if there's energy cords that have already been connected to my field at least 12 to 24 hours in advance. That means I should be able to see the energy cord. Now, that energy cord is giving me a location, but it's not only a location, it's a person, it's a place, it's a thing, it's the experiential as a whole. It's okay, the energy cord is connected to this person and it's giving me what experience we needed to have. So that is known as an experiential. So that's one way we can look at a person and we can go through the energy cord. Of course, you close your eyes and you just imagine and visualize. That's how we start to activate all the abilities. Imagine and visualize putting your consciousness through that cord so you can see the experiential as a whole. Now, the second you can see it, is a second you can expand upon it, and then you can start to make changes to the magnetics of the entire experience. Many times when we start to get into that level of consciousness, the higher self must be called down into the biological form, because the higher self always is going to have the last final edit of that perception box. Now, speaking of perception boxes, that is also new information that has come forward. So a perception box is, let's say for an example, we see everything in our vision. That's every single thing that you see. However, a perception box is opening a tiny little box. It's like a window. So if you guys have ever seen like your computer screen or, you know, the Apple devices, and then you can call forward another window, just consider that secondary window a perception box. Now we have the option. We can open and expand that window so that we can see that window, that consciousness, or we can keep it tiny and we can put it up here. We can open multiple windows. So this is a perception box. Now, this is of high value because anybody here who's watching, if you have an animal at home that you love dearly, anytime that we are linked to an animal, it's much easier to call forward their perception boxes. Everybody always wonders, well, how do the animals know when we're heading home? That's because they have our perception box. They are seeing a little bit to a degree of what's happening with us. They could see these things. They know from a certain angle. So when we are fully aware that this is how the system works, it also makes sense that this is how it works when we are about to meet someone seeing throughout time and space. Of course, from a 5D perspective, this whole system works lightning fast. You don't have to think about it. It's just like, and many times it is done during the lucid times or the dream times or meditations, because in the lucid realms it's a little bit easier to have this type of knowledge come forward and make changes without actually experiencing it. This way, in case there's anything that is going to be of a negative consequence, you can go through and continue to change it in the lucid realms before allowing it to become solid in the physical reality. Now, the perception boxes is you are also able to see from insects, from animals, and then from other individuals, because we are all fully connected. Now, it is very important to take this with a high morality. So only to watch and to do, and there's guides who watch this whole process and system to make sure that it is being used in the utmost love and light. And we thank the star people for guiding each person here listening who does wish to engage in perception boxes, to be guided to do it with open hearts and love in their minds and their hearts, so that we only use this for the best and positivity for everyone involved. Now, perception boxes don't only have to be an animal, a person, an insect. It can also be a plant, and it can also be a window into space and time itself. So let's say, for an example, you wanted to see the dinosaurs and you wanted to have a running viewpoint of a particular location. Let's call it 500,000 years ago. And you wanted to see what was on the earth at that time, what plant life, what dinosaurs, what animals. So you could open a window into a particular location and you could just have it running the entire time so that you're always aware of it. Now, during your meditations, of course, we use the word meditation, but when you're in 5D, this comes just as fast as you're holding an iPad, opening up a window. So, but during our meditations, we could take it, we can open it, we could see it, we could perceive the entire thing. This is also a way of starting instantaneous teleportation, because when we start instantaneous teleportation, the star people have been telling us we have to take the conscious energy or your light body out of your physical body, and you have to witness or perceive or remote view the location that you wish to take the physical body to. And then, because you are putting your lucid or your rainbow body of light there, when you know that it is safe for you to move the physical body, then you may call the physical body to the light body. That's how that works. But now what I'm telling you is that you can have multiple perception boxes open so that you're able to go and you're already seeing it while your energy body is in your physical form. And then you're able to say, okay, this location is safe for my physical body. Boom. Now you can teleport to that body. And right as I said that, it was 18, 18, 18 on the timer. So that's a synchronicity for probably for all of us, because these things are really coming to humanity. Now, being properly situated in your energy grids is key to accessing any type of instantaneous teleportations, dear ones. For when you start the process of teleportation, you must have already mastered time and space. So time and space is adjusted by the flicker rate, which is located inside of your heart chakra subsystems. Your flicker rate, it is adjusted by your emotions. So whether you are happy and time is very fast, or whether you are very sad and time is moving very slow, when you start to make adjustments to your emotion grids and releasing any densities, any distortions, it shall then allow you into an access or a perception above time and space. This shall then allow access into different extrasensory abilities in which you are taking your physical body and you are energetically preparing it for an alignment with a new location. Beautiful. And thank you, dear star people, for channeling with us tonight. Okay. So we are going to cut the channeling short now, the star people are saying. We are doing the shadow work Zoom tonight. So anybody who wants to come, it is the same exact Zoom link. I did not change it. We start at 8:30, I believe. So it's in about 1 hour. It is absolutely complimentary for all people, and it always will be. We have to clear the throat chakra tonight, so that's what we'll be working on. But the shadow work Zoom is really about building a tribe, a community. We come together, we clear our energy grids, our fields. We do different healing modalities. You guys get the opportunity to ask any questions. So truly, it's for all of us to heal and to grow and to learn and to be one tribe. So I recommend everyone comes. You could just send an email to daniellelipton.com. That is the only way I will send you a link, because the Messenger app, it has a lot of messages. So just daniellelipton.com and I will send you the Zoom link, and it's good for all of them. Excellent. Thank you guys so much for coming, and you guys have many, many love and blessings. Excellent. Let's see. Now we have to hit the end.